When you grow up in the inner city and you grow up in the projects, um, a new pair of sneakers gives you life. Like I didn't care what I looked like from my ankles up.
A literal living legend. Let's make some noise for Don Staley. I'm gonna run your accolades by a little bit real quick. You're the only person to ever win Naismith Player of the Year and Coach of the Year. You're a two-time world champion. You're a Hall of Famer. It's an honor to be here talking with you. We were talking about it a little bit in the back. Busy summer for you. Big season coming up. Where are you guys at in your process right now as you get going into the season?
Yeah, we got a little different team. I think we are super talented, but not not much experience, like on court experience. So it's kind of cool to have the challenge of what we've had over the past 3 or 4 years to where we are today. They're working hard. They're forced to work hard, but they're working hard. Um, but it's cool because every season brings on a different challenge. No matter who you have on your roster, this one's a little bit different than what we've had because we've had experience. Um, but they're working. They're working. They're working to get to the next level. And when you dangle that in front of them, they work a little bit harder.
Well, let's talk about the next level a little bit because you guys had 5 people get drafted on draft day. You had 8 players on opening night rosters. You obviously have the reigning MVP. She did the trifecta. She's a defensive player, Finals MVP, and Asia Wilson. I think you have what pretty soon will be the Rookie of the Year as well, and Aliyah
Absolutely.
Boston. What is it like to see your legacy, so to speak, in the league, and the imprint you're leaving with pushing all these players to the next level?
I mean, I'm a self-prescribed dream merchant. So when you're able to see your players' dreams come true, it does the heart good. It is when we go into people's living rooms and we tell them that they'll graduate. The other part of it is their dream of playing in the WNBA. It's on them and the work that they put in. And I can honestly say the ones that are, the ones that are in the league now and the ones who, got cut or whatever, they do belong in the league. The league is just, incredibly competitive. You got to go to the right situation. And fortunately for Asia, she went to the right situation where she's become two-time, and I think she's a three-time MVP and a two-time Defensive Player of the Year. We got the Aliyah Boston is going to be the Rookie of the Year, and I hope that some other Gamecocks will be bestowed with some other All WNBA awards. But our players are prepped to play at this league at the highest level and to excel. I won't be surprised if Aliyah Boston is one day the MVP of the league.
Oh, she's that talented, and she's on her way. And we were talking earlier, just to see her hit the ground running and be so poised, it's impressive. I mean, it speaks to your coaching. Like, I don't know if you're going to take credit for it, but it speaks to your coaching as well. I know you've been asked this question before, but speaking of the next level, do you ever want to go to the next level and coach, or you feel like you're home here on the college level and like you said, a dream merchant?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I mean, my passion has always been young people, and also just making sure they understand what it takes when they get to the league. They are the ones that will carry this league to higher heights. So it's almost to secure that that takes place. And if you don't understand what the league is about, the preparation it takes to have staying power and longevity in it, then the league's not going to be safe. So I really enjoy helping the mold players, getting them ready for just really life. And we're fortunate that basketball is the very thing that is the common theme. But you know, I, my passion's at the collegiate level, and I hope it stays that way.
I mean, you're leaving your impact there, and like you said, you're molding people for life. I think the college coach is one of the most important figures in these players' lives ever. You know what I mean? Whatever level they're playing on, I'm talking JUCO D3 all the way up. So I love that. I love that. That's where you want to focus at. One thing I wonder for coaches and somebody who has to recruit in this era with the NIL, I know you understand for these players, it's a great opportunity for them to bring guys to the game to see some of the fruits of their labor. But it maybe makes things a little difficult as a coach as you're recruiting. So where do you stand with all that, and how has it changed your approach with some of your recruits going forward?
Yeah, it makes it harder, because obviously if us coaches can go out there and actually go get the money, but the NCAA has completely stopped us from doing that. I can remember it was like last October 26th is when we had to shut everything down from me going out there and say, hey, can you come do an all-team deal at South Carolina? Can you do this? Because as coaches, we have access to, so many sponsors, we got relationships with companies, and we utilize that to make it more appealing. There are things that's called collectives now, and we have to work through the collectives. And, to be completely honest, collectives do a lot of work for football, because football is they're the main breadwinners, and I get that, but when we've had as much success as we've had at the University of South Carolina, we should be rolling in it, and we're not. So there are still ways in which we can do that. I like it. It's a challenge. I look at the NIL space as a challenge. We may not have the most, but I want to be competitive. I want to be competitive when it comes to recruiting young people, and I don't want that to be the factor, if someone beats us out by 25,000 or 50,000. I don't want that to be the determining factor, but I will say this. The things that we equip our players with will more than bring in the money that they deserve. But they just got to come to South Carolina first to get there. But people are probably offering a lot more money in the very beginning to lure them there. Yeah. But the lessons that you get are invaluable. But I get the pull on the money. Like if someone's offering you $200,000, that's something that you've never seen in your bank account. Your family has to work, 10 years to get that in your bank account. I get it. I truly understand that part of it. And if that's what your priority is, go for it. Like I am not mad at all. But I also don't want to devalue what we bring to the table and the experience that you would have under me and our coaching staff.
Nah, I think it's a great perspective, and again, it goes back to understanding how beneficial this can be, and especially in the women's game. There's been a ton of growth. You guys are part of the most watched Final Four ever last year, the most watched national championship ever, and we're seeing stars all over now. And what's it been like from your vantage point? And you obviously were here. You came in a few years into the WNBA because you were elsewhere, but you've been doing this for so long. You've seen every level. You've seen the Olympics. You've seen all of it. What's it like from your vantage point to watch the women's game continue to grow, and what needs to continue to happen for it to grow even further going forward?
Women's basketball is bursting through the seams. Like, this is the best time to be playing our sport. What needs to happen, much like why we got our sport to where we are now, is all based on competition, and the best players are playing the very best basketball, which is putting more eyeballs on our game. We need more networks to compete for our talents. And I don't know if that's happening, but I hope it's happening in the near future, because our television deal is up with college women's basketball with ESPN. And ESPN's done a great job giving us a platform to grow, to take us where we are now. And I've said this, and they probably don't like that I say this, but we need other networks to show our worth and to show ESPN our worth. ESPN knows our worth, but if there's no competition, you're not going to throw millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in our sport if nobody's competing for us in that space. So I want there to drum up the competition. And if we're still with ESPN, great. They've been with us for a very long time, but it doesn't work without competition.
I think events like this are great to showcase the game on a local level, and a regional level, even a national level. But I do think you're right. Like, this needs to be a TV attraction, and it needs to show that. And it's the pro level, the college level, they've all shown the amount of growth that a network should notice going forward. I want to leave off on one more note about you. You're one of the few players that ever have a signature sneaker. Take us back to getting that opportunity, how that went, and I don't know, maybe ask for a retro. Like, I think we can get a retro. But take us back to that, all the way going back during your career.
It's when you grow up in the inner city and you grow up in the projects, a new pair of sneakers gives you life. Like, I didn't care what I looked like from my ankles up when I was growing up, and I probably still don't, because I'm such a sneakerhead. And through that process with Nike, like I've been with Nike since 1995. So Cheryl Swoops was the first in our generation to get a shoe. I think Lisa Leslie got a signature shoe, and then it was me, and I didn't even know. I was the sneakerhead out of our entire team, like the USA team. I was the one. So when Nike sat me down and told me they wanted to give me a signature shoe, I was in heaven, because they really understand. Like, they understood that I knew what I was talking about. Like, there were certain types of leathers, and when I there was this thing called a nubuck leather, right?
Yep.
And I'm like, this shoe doesn't feel like my normal shoe, and they were like, oh, because it's nubuck leather, and they take you through a journey of making sure it's right, making sure it fits, getting your opinion. They mold your shoe, they mold your foot to make sure it fits your shoe. They were cutting edge with me. Now I'm a competitive person. I think my signature shoe looks the best out of all of them, like hands down. I mean, it had a strap, it had a great colorway. The logo was incredible, and as you can see now, like look where we're amongst. Mm-hmm. Nike is cutting edge. Nike, bust the door downs, and they shook the NCAA up with this event, because we didn't know about this event until maybe a month ago, and the fact that they're putting these young players on display, letting everybody know these are the future players of our game. And I know somebody that's playing in these games, this particular weekend, will have a signature shoe. I don't know who it is, but the talent level speaks to it, and the popularity of these players speak to it. So I'm looking forward to someone dethroning the actual look of my signature shoe.
Our guy at Boardroom, Nick DePaula, he wrote an article a few years back called "Your Shoe the Best Signature Shoe Ever." He said regardless of gender, it's the nicest one. He's chasing a pair down, I think, still to this day. So good luck with that. But Don, it was an honor. Thank you so much.
Honor's
and
mine.
You have a great one.
Thank you.